Spike Polite on whatever 68 radio. Rock and beyond, DJ Spike Polite. Today's guest is Jesse Mosher, punk rock painter.
How's it going, Spike? Jesse Mosher, I'm a painter, an artist, living over here in France for the moment, and talking to my good buddy Spike.
Yes, man, it's glad to have you on. Glad to have you on. I'm going to ask you a question. What I was wondering is, What form of music were you listening to when you were a child? Please tell the audience. If you could name some bands.
Man, we had a good radio station where I grew up in Western Massachusetts, so I heard a lot of different stuff. But first thing that really swung my head around was probably like blues music, old records and stuff you would find around at people's houses, or my dad had. And I listened to that stuff. Lightning Hopkins. This was like in the 80s when I was, 10 or something. Somewhere around then. Lou Reed records I got around the same time. It was a time everyone was getting rid of the old records and getting CDs, and I don't know, they were just around. You kept getting boxes of them from people, and you'd look at the album covers, and some stuff jumped out at you, and those were some of the first things, Lou Reed records, blues records.
Me too. Rock and roll. Punk rock too, man.
It's for kids. It's more interesting in the world that's going on with kids,
I particularly like
the... What is this stuff? This adult stuff? What is this music?
Yeah. The Highway to Hell one is what sold me. That and the Ramones.
Oh,
yeah. So how long, what period in your life did you actually start getting out there and getting into the music scene to perform in it, Did you...
Well, I was doing poetry, like spoken word stuff. I was writing a lot, and I was doing that with some bands. I don't know, it was maybe like around 1999 or 2000, somewhere around there. I did some stuff on public access TV like that in Billerica, Massachusetts. I was probably about 21 then or something like that. And then when I moved out to California when I was 27, that's when I started working with bands, and to make a record with this band Stonar, with a guy from in the English Beat, the piano player. He produced it, and from there I just started working with the bands around, local bands. I got a touring band in 2008. In 2009, went around the U.S. with this band Strange Feather. That was my first shot at really performing like that.
What was your instrument that you were singing or playing guitar, or what were you doing for that band?
Well, I was painting. That's how I met all these bands. I would be going in San Francisco, going out most nights to nightclubs and painting with bands and certain people closer to my age. Maybe I hit it off with or whatever. And I started working with a bunch of friends that had different bands, and they played in different bands. So that kind of all linked into working with them. But then once I was working with them, it was like they were writing a song, and I had a lyric or an idea or something like that went in there, or maybe some songs I'd sing some backups on when we were doing live shows, or I don't know. Just you end up with, there's only 5 people when you work together, you end up doing all the different stuff somewhat, So
I had always thought that you possibly were a musician first, and I was going to ask you later questions about when did you decide to start painting on stage as a guitarist with a paintbrush, as you do. It looks really cool, but so basically then you're
it's almost like it came from the other direction in a way, because I was drawing and painting in my studio, blasting music all the time, rock and roll stuff, and I found my hand moving to the beat of the music, making strokes with the pen or the paintbrush on the paper or on the painting. And it was like I was playing it like it was a guitar pick, going to the beat of music and following different instruments. And it just kind of went from there. I had that idea for years that I would stand up and paint like that, but I don't know, it just kind of naturally happened, listening to the Velvet Underground and other stuff like that, in probably about 2007 or 6, somewhere around there. That's when I really started to do that at home, and then whatever, you go out to the clubs and do it in the back, or
so it was
the
2008
stage.
that you finally were out in the clubs, and you were in California doing it for the band. Say the name of that band again one more time.
Strange Feather. That was the band that I toured around the country with. Played in New York a couple times, and we went everywhere. We did 130 shows in a year and a half, something like that. We play bars. We play 4 sets sometimes. They could play 100 covers, maybe 120 covers, and they had maybe 50 original songs or something. So we played for hours, sometimes 4 hours more.
Great for you to practice your craft too. Definitely. Wow.
Oh yeah, and you play it for hours. You get to sit down, have a break, do this and that, jump off the stage. You try to do something different every night. End up doing some crazy shit, painting in the handstand and all that.
Getting all Iggy Pop with your paintings, jumping out in the crowd. Did you ever get G.G. Allen like and get when you get angry and just rush somebody when they knocked your paintbrush or something?
There was one time where there was, some guy in the audience and he was yelling at the band. He was like a drunk dude. He kept trying to pull in the mic stands, and the band was, they were playing these pretty complicated songs. Like, you can stop and fucking deal with it, So in situations like that, I would like push the dude out of the way or whatever. But we really got into it at this bar, and I ended up running him headfirst to the side of the bar and knocking the dude out, and then they dragged him out of there. My buddy took the dude apart. It used to be on YouTube. It was a great video. I don't know why it went down, but that was the advantage to not being plugged in. If something breaks, something falls over, there's some problem, I can just drop my painting and fix it real quick. Pick up a guitar pick or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it helped out in that way to be on stage.
So you did that for a year. I've always wondered though, how did you end up working with C.J. Ramone? Tell the audience, please. And also, how long did you do that for with C.J. Ramone?
After that band broke up, I did just like tons of shows in the clubs, 180, 200 a year in San Francisco. So I got in with like the club owners in a lot of places, and I would hear about what was coming up. I was really in like the grapevine of it, And CJ hadn't toured solo yet. That was like the first time he did that. It was in 2011. It's his first big U.S. tour solo. And I went to that show, and I hit it off with him, met his manager, or it was his buddy, and his wife, a couple other people, and went backstage, ended up talking to him, got his email address, kept in touch, and then, a few months later, I was in New York, and he had a show on Long Island. I went out and painted at that show, and we got to talking, and I was like, what's your next show? He's like, we're going to Columbia in like a month or something like that. You want to go? I was like, yeah, I could get a ticket. So I, bought the tickets to go do that tour. And it was a tough couple shows. It's like they weren't really ready for it down there. But so I guess I must have passed the test or something. So after that, we started working together and, made a film. I made a film of his first solo record when he made that the next year. So after that, I was pretty much working with him for almost 5 years.
Were you also the roadie too for the C.J. Ramone band?
Yeah. Well, I mean, back in the day, the Ramones had probably like 8, 10, depending on what tour they were doing, like a bunch of guys in the crew that all had like specific jobs, But when I was there, it was his manager, Gene the cop, and there was Paul who did merch, and there was me, and then a couple other times people helped out here and there, but that was mostly it for doing like the American shows. When he goes overseas, they get roadies and stuff. It's just him and the manager. But so I ended up doing like 50-something shows with him. Drive-in. The amps are super simple because it's the same ones from the 70s. They have like tape over everything but one-to-one plug. So, but you get that stuff on stage, get that stuff off stage, plug it in. Whatever needs to be done. You know what I mean? You end up doing a bunch of different stuff, but there wasn't really like defined roles so much,
Yeah.
Having to do everything pretty much.
How long were you going with C.J. Ramone for again? In case.
Almost 5 years, 2011, 2015. The last show I did with him was in Paris. I was over there, and I got sick. I had an operation. It was after that. And he was touring in Europe then, so that was the last show I did with him. But I don't know, a bunch of tours, short tours, a couple weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It was Shonen Knife. That was a really great tour around the U.S. That was one of the last big tours I did with him. And a couple shows with The Damned out in Disneyland and Fonda Theater and Great American in Music Hall in San Francisco. Those were some of the last shows, like probably the biggest ones. But yeah, it was a fun time, man. This hero of mine that I knew, of course, I knew about him before I met him, but just hit it off, and we had a lot of laughs over the years. It was my wedding and some other stuff. I don't know, we were buddies. One of the reasons I moved out to New York from California was to work with him more. Also, I like the music scene better in New York than California for what I was going for.
I remember also my band Sewage NYC that we actually played the show. Oh no, we played the same venue as him in Brooklyn, across the street from the Trash Bar. That place, Grand Victory. Yeah.
Ah, Grand Victory. Yeah, I totally remember that.
I played a New Year's Eve show there, and I seen him.
That was a great club. It was kind of like a World War II themed, like Americana type club. I don't know. It's cool. It's like a Pops Blue Ribbon type place, you know.
Yeah.
Always great bands. So what are the clubs that are happening these days in New York? Or not these days, but most recently, what were the hot spots?
About now, there's COVID-19.
Well, not right now, but you know,
things were open.
I've been away for a couple of years, so I know the spots change every 6 months or a year, where places closing down or getting hot or whatever, you know.
So, you didn't know about. All of a sudden, is now a venue packing like 1,000 some people, whatever. But they did have
Brooklyn shows, right?
Yeah, Brooklyn. It's mainly like Kingsland is up there, and then they'll have like spin-offs of that, and Gold Sounds, and they'll have
Gold Sounds.
But I mean, look at though, for this style of music, even the Misfits, we're playing Madison Square Garden. Just what was it?
I know.
Yeah, but yeah. So it's good hearing from you. And can you tell the listeners where they can find your paintings? Maybe they would like to purchase some of them. Can you tell them?
Sure. I got my website, JesseMosher.com, but you can also just Google my name, Google images. A lot of paintings of mine come up. I put a lot of content online. I have a lot of paintings, 2,700 or something. And a lot of them have been photographed and put online, even if they've been sold before. But everything is for sales on JesseMosher.com.
JesseMosher.com. Ladies and gentlemen.
That's it. My man. So when you coming over to Europe again? You got some itch to come back over here?
Yes, man. We're tracking some new stuff right now. It's in the works. It's been in the demo state, writing state for a bit, but finally it's going to come out, and then we'll push for a new drop. We're looking for some tour promoters and some people, bands to play with. Let's do this, man.
That's what's holding up everything, man. Yeah. But it's a good time for artists like us to, get into what we're doing, try and figure out the next move, tighten up your shit, work on those new songs, get a new product in line for when things do open up,
Yeah. I'm looking for a tour agent over there in Europe. Our mutual friend, you introduced me to Ruggiero with his Professional Punkers.
Oh yeah, Ruggiero, man. ProfessionalPunkers.com.
And Lorenzo, who drives and plays the drums. Love that.
Oh yeah, he's got his fucking team.
Yeah. But I need like another agent, like who books more than just a region, and then this new release, I just got to get it done. I think I'm working with some lady in a record label in California, Mystic Records. Her name is Candace, but she re-released my '90s album, the Sewage one, and I was trying to get
I'd love to hear that.
Some shows with her out that way and go up into Seattle. But this COVID-19, Europe may recover sooner because they got it first, correct? As far as I know.
Yeah, I think it was a matter of them getting it first, but then all the countries just really locking down. We were here. We didn't hardly leave the house for 2.5, 3 months almost. So nowadays we can go out. We got the masks and stuff. But a lot of stuff's open up. The cafes are opening up and all that. And there's very few cases in the country. Like new cases are like 50 a day, 30, something, 20. Sometimes even like 12 cases a day. It's like almost nothing.
Okay, that's good. So
far so good, but everybody's wary that it could jump up again and cases get worse. But for now we're good and kind of enjoying a little more freedom, Certainly a little more than we had before. Jesus, that was rough.
You know something I thought of? You're in France there. Are you close to the Spanish border, or where?
No, I'm close to like Switzerland would be probably like less than 2 hours from here, something like that. I'm halfway between Paris and Milan. They're both about 250 miles away.
So basically, but Ruggiero always used to complain about the petrol cost to go. But I'm sure from your place,
They sell it by the liter, man. They ain't joking over here.
oh,
Yeah, it's like $1.30 a liter, so I don't know, about $5 a gallon or something. And then the roads, the highways are not like state; they're all private. So every like
it's a toll.
couple miles, you got to go another toll, pay another guy. It's so it's not really a cheap way to go driving. Buses are cheap, but you can't bring the gear on a bus.
Yeah, unless there's a backline, but yeah, and every place you go to, then you can just get banned.
Yeah, one nice thing about Europe is there's a lot of tour services. There's a lot of guys for $100, $125 a day. They'll get your whole backline, your drums, with a van, and like some Serbian ex-military drive all night type dude,
Yeah.
There's all kinds of people like that do that kind of service for bands over here that have backlines. There's a whole industry worked out for people around the world to come here and tour these clubs, because the clubs in like social halls, places where they do concerts, are every few miles here. Literally, every town has got like a big place, and clubs and all that stuff.
So
it's a circuit, man. You just got to break into that circuit, and you're good, because there is shows. I mean, you meet people over here from all over the world that have come here to be musicians, live in France, do the thing, get paid by the government, do their 50 shows a year, make their records and everything. It's part of life here. It's 10% of their national budget is for the arts, so it's like, yeah, a big part of working here. A lot of workers are artists, are musicians. It's pretty cool.
Yes. Well, I guess basically a tour booking agency to take the band's new project and probably, then find someone in a band with a van with the gear that, like you said, drive you a certain region. And we should set something up though, but it's just kind of different.
Yeah, for sure. I got to do a couple new booking people in mind that I've been talking to that can help out, to help expand to where you've been going and where I've been going. So we got to talk about that sometime when we got a little bit more time. But yeah, it was great hearing from you, man. I appreciate it. Send me the tape. I'll put it up online.
All right, Jesse. Glad you were on my show. Hope you had a good time tonight. And I know it's getting late, so I'm gonna let you go. All right. Good night, man.
Yeah, I will, man. I appreciate it. Good hearing from you as always, man. And I'll tune in your radio show. I encourage everybody.
All right. Punk Rock and Beyond with Spike Polite.
Yeah, that's right. Spike Polite. Legend.
Frankie, Annette!
Punk Rock and Beyond with DJ Spike Polite. Brooklyn, New York, City, Underground.
But when I got there, I just wanted to cry, because there were so many people.
whatever, 68 radio, punk rock and beyond, DJ Spike Polite.